Hi, this is Sarah Satch, and today's video I'm going to show you how to make this chevron headband. It has become one of my favorites to wear. It's a perfect summer headband, and you can make it in any colors that you want. It whips up really fast. You can even make it in a variegated. I did this one just for a test to see how the Red Heart worsted weight would work, and it works perfect. All you need for this headband to make is 3 colors of worsted weight yarn. So I just pulled out 3 different colors from my yarn stash. Worsted weight Red Heart yarn. You're going to need your H hook, and you're going to need a needle to weave in your ends, because when we change colors you'll have to weave in those ends, and of course a pair of scissors. Now, some really neat things to know about this headband is that you can make this headband in any weight yarn. You can make it in a chunky yarn. You can make it in a thin yarn. Just remember to check the label for the hook, the crochet hook that you need to correspond with that yarn. And also make sure you measure your head, because if you make it in a thinner yarn, you're going to need more rows. And if you make it in a big chunky yarn, you're probably going to need a few less rows. This pattern is on my blog. It's the Chevron Headband. And I'll put that, it's a free pattern on my blog, and I'll put the link in the comments for you so that you'll have that and you can click over there. Now, if you do the pattern as written, it will fit about an 18 to 20 inch head, you know, if you match my stitches. But remember, anytime you make anything, it's a good idea to measure as you go. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. I'll put the screen down so you can see my hands, and I think you're really going to love this. Oh, take a minute to subscribe to my channel as well, and hit that like button. All righty. Now, for our demonstration, like I said, I've got this cream color and this bright cranberry red and this purple. Let me move that needle over. Let's give us some space here. Now, to get started, the first thing you're going to need to do is to chain 14 chains. And I've already got one chained here for you. Then we're going to put 1 single crochet in the second chain from the hook. So here's the first chain, here's the second. So we're going to put 1 single crochet in the second chain from the hook, and then put 1 single crochet in the next 5 chains. This whole project, your stitch count will remain the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need 1 more. So we did 6 single crochets, and now we're going to put 3 single crochets in the next stitch. Now, like I was saying, your stitch count for this project, this headband, will remain the same throughout. So that's kind of neat, because you know what the stitch count is, so you can constantly go back, and you'll end up with 15 stitches for every row. But we'll get there in just a second. We did 6 stitches, then we did 3 stitches in the same. And now we're going to do 6 more single crochets. And this is just our base stitch row to get us started. That in there. And you can already see that it's starting to be shaped like a chevron. Let me count my stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. So you did 6 stitches, 6 single crochets, 3 single crochets, and then 6 single crochets. And that's the beginning of your chevron. Now for row 2, we're going to chain 1, and the chain 1 here and throughout the project does not count as a stitch. It's just a turning chain so that your project lays nice. All right, so we're going to turn. And we're going to be working in the back loops only for the rest of the project. And as you can see, here's the top of our project. Your front loop is the loop that's on your side, that's facing you. The back loop is the one that's facing away, and we're going to be using the back loops. And the first stitch that we're going to do is to stitch 2 single crochets together. The way we do that, we're going to be going in the back loop. So we're going to go through the first back loop of the first stitch and pull up a loop. Then we go in the back loop of the next single crochet and pull up a loop. And we have 3 loops on our hook. yarn over, and pull through all 3 of those. So basically what we did is we made 2 stitches into 1. And we're going to use this throughout the project at the beginning of every row. All right, so the next 5 single crochets will be stitching in the back loops. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that will give us a total of 6 stitches. The next the next stitch should be the top of that chevron from the one before. And we're going to be, again, back loops, we're going to work 3 single crochets in that one stitch. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to move down here and we're going to work 1 single crochet in the next 5 single crochets, back loops only. All right, now that leaves the last 2 single crochets, and we're going to work those 2 together like we did over here. So we're going to go through the back loop, pull up a loop, go through the back loop of the next stitch and pull up a loop, 3 loops on our hook, yarn over and go through all 3, chain 1. And this is how we will work every row of the hat, whether you're changing colors or not. I'll work another row so that you can see how we do that again. All right, back loop, pull up a loop, back loop of the next one, pull up a loop because we're stitching the first 2 single crochets together. Then we're going to stitch 5 single crochets, 1 in the next 5 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have a total of 6 stitches. Then we're going to work 3 single crochets in the next single crochet, always working in the back loops. Now we're moving back down the other side, so we're going to put 1 single crochet in each single crochet, again in the back loops, for 5 stitches. Then we're going to stitch together the last 2 single crochets. Go in the first one, pull up a loop, go in the next one, pull up a loop, yarn over, and go through all 3. Now I'm not going to chain 1 because I'm going to show you how to change colors. When you're changing colors, you don't chain 1 until after you've changed your color. So we've done our last stitch here with our 2 single crochets together. Pull your loop through, pull that kind of snug, chain 1, and go ahead and pull that a little bit snug also, because we want that to hold until we can get back around, use our needle to weave in that end. And then we do exactly the same thing that we've been doing. First 2 single crochets together, so we go through, pull up 1 loop, go through, pull up another loop, go through all 3, 1 single crochet in the next 5 stitches, again always working in the back loops. Then we put 3 single crochets in that top stitch. 1, 2, 3. Roll my ball out a little bit. Then we work 1 single crochet in the next 5 single crochets. And then we work the next 2 single crochets together. Go through, pull up a loop, go through the back and pull up a loop, yarn over, and chain 1. And that's what you do when you change colors. The reason we do that is if we didn't, we would have an extra loop, and you would see that white loop, that white chain 1 on your red row, or whatever color row you have changed to. All right, and that's the way you work the hat. And I've got one ready right here. The hat. This is a headband. Okay, now I've got one already here. I used that purple, And the cream, and if you follow the pattern, you'll have 16 rows of cream, then you have 8 rows of red or whatever your next color is, 8 rows of the purple or whatever color you chose, and then the cream 16 rows. Now I'm going to show you how to get the two ends together because it can be just a little bit tricky. And I've got that backwards. There we go. And I went ahead and took my needle and to weave in those ends. And all I do is I thread it and then I just go right back up through those rows. I thread that needle and I just go right back up through those rows a couple of times and then cut it off. And that holds it really, really good. I always suggest, if possible, to use a needle to work in those ends. Okay, now this is where we ended, and this is where we started. And it can be a little bit confusing because you're like, how do I do this? I got a point and an arrow, and I'm going to show you. It's really easy once you get going. I'm going to go ahead and take out that last chain 1 because it works better if you don't chain 1. So what you're going to do is you're going to line it up like this. And line up this side to the point. And we'll work this side first. And remember, you've got the same amount of stitches. So you're going to need to put in 6 stitches. And just like this, go all the way across, sewing them together, and single crochet. Now, you can do a slip stitch if you want. I like to do the single crochet because it kind of makes it look similar to what we've been doing with our back post. Or back loops, I'm sorry, not back posts. Now, you may have to stretch it out a little. You may have to, what I call easing it in, because your end where you chained, it's not going to be as stretchy as the place here where we ended. So you may have to push and pull just a little, but it's really not hard. Single crochet, single crochet. There we go. Now, when you get to the middle, your top stitch, make sure you stitch right in that hole of the arrow. And that's going to make sure that it's nice and even. Even if you got off a little, that hole is going to help you stay even. Okay, now we're halfway. Now you're going to take it and turn it just a little bit so that the next side lines up. And again, the side where we chained is not going to be as stretchy as the side where we finished. So you may have to do a little bit of pushing and pulling to get it in there. And do the same thing, go through both sides, single crochet, and just get it in there. And I find it's easier if I go through this side and then find the stitch I want to be on. Just like that. And at my last stitch here. And just pull that through. I've got my other end popping out there. That's okay because we'll weave those in also. And I cut off just a little like this because you're not going to need much. And you can always cut it when you weave it in. Okay, so then I just tie that off. And it looks kind of like that. And you can just kind of push it and it kind of looks similar to what we did. It's not exactly perfect, but remember that's on the back side of your head. Okay. Now, to weave your ends in, I'm going to show you this real quick on this one. What I do, if you've got 2 colors that you're doing, I just give it just a little snug like that of a tie, nothing major. Then I get my yarn needle, and if I can do them both at the same time, I will. If it's too thick, I won't, but I've got my yarn needle, and I do the same thing with all my color changes there. And on the wrong side, I just go like this and kind of whip it through both sides. And then I kind of go back and go over what I just did. And you may have to snug on a little bit. And to me, that holds it nice and tight. because this is a stretchy headband. You want it to be able to push and pull. Okay, I'm going to bring this back up so that you can see the headband. That's the wrong side. See where I worked in my yarn? With my yarn needle, I sewed it up here, and there's my string where I left off. Here's the front side. And see how mine is all stretched out? When you go to put it on and it pulls, it makes it look a lot thinner. Now, another thing that you can do is if you want it thinner, where we chained at the beginning, we chained 14 and we ended up with 6 on each end. If you want to subtract some from there, you can make sure because you want it to be a little more narrow, make sure you subtract the same number of chains on one side that you did on the other, so that it will be more narrow. That's something else that you can do. I just love this headband. I think it's fun to make in all different colors and all different weights. And I do have plans to make a thick one. And when I do get that one done and tested, I might go ahead and do another video so that you can see how that worked out as well. At least I'll put some pictures on. So anyway, thanks for watching my video. I'm having trouble talking today. Thanks for watching my video today. And I hope you'll take a second and subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit that thumbs up. Have a great day.